The festive season is upon us, and as such, the FNB has launched the Festive Fraud Watch campaign aimed at raising awareness about common fraud scams that turn to spike during this time of the year. Joining me to unpack more on this matter, particularly in regards to staying cyber smart during the festive season, is the head of FNB's operations, particularly FNB Retail Banking Department, Mr. Carpio. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the show.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. So, many times during this season, people often find themselves in public spaces where they feel a need to make use of public Wi Fi to access their online banking and really quickly facilitate a transaction to aid in their festive shopping. Why is public Wi Fi a risk when doing online banking?
So, public Wi-Fi is a risk because of the fact that public Wi-Fi is generally unsecured and unencrypted, meaning that any sensitive information can be accessed, it can be intercepted. So, we generally advise customers not to do their banking when they are on public Wi-Fi because fraudsters then have access and can have access to their pins and passwords when they do banking on on a public Wi-Fi because of the fact that it is unsecured. But so what we generally say is you wouldn't go in public and shout your PIN number or your password.
Yeah,
So why would you do it on public Wi-Fi? Because
yes,
that is ultimately what it means.
absolutely. And when it comes to this time of the year as well, we often receive a lot of notifications proposing deals. How can one identify when when a deal is too good to be true and most likely to be a scam?
So as a human being, you've got a gut feeling. And when your gut feeling and that instinct comes up, trust it. Because when a deal is too good to be true, there are certain things that you can see, feel, and hear about it. Like, for example, I can use a simple example, an opportunity to travel to Zanzibar. I mean, we all know the cost of Zanzibar, traveling to Zanzibar.
Yes.
Now, the deal is that it is a 12,000 all expenses paid trip. That doesn't sound right. It is too good to be true. So we advise customers to try and validate or confirm with the institution or organization and not necessarily contact the scammer or contact the number that they received the contact from or the communication, but rather look at identifying and validating the institution or the organization that is apparently advertising this.
Mm.
And when it comes to the banks or even service providers, try and validate, try and contact the legitimate numbers and the official numbers in order to confirm whether the deal is indeed um, a right deal.
And also, how does that contrast to the bank's actual modus operandi when reaching out to clients?
So the banks, because of the fact that cell phone is an easy means of contact, the banks will contact, and most of the times we do contact our customers. However, we will never request sensitive and personal information like your ID number, your PIN, your OTP, your card number, CVV number. Those are information and data that you should not divulge to anybody,
Mm.
especially telephonically or via SMS.
Yes. And when it comes to the online banking aspect, how can customers create passwords that are stronger and much more unhackable or more difficult to hack for scammers and in order to keep their personal accounts safe?
So we advise our customers to never use personal type information that can be linked to you or your family, like birthdays, names, or those type of information for a password. And it's also advisable to use a longer password, but also mix it up with characters, uppercase, lowercase, funny characters, special characters, and numbers in order to ensure that it is a strong and not so easily um, engineered password. But then the norm is that your minimum length of a password should be 8 characters and maximum 14 to remember it. But then very key, never share your password with anybody. You can't trust anyone. And then also additional to that is we have multiple devices, multiple sites that we have specific passwords on. Please do not reuse the same password, because just imagine your password is hacked. Everything else will be hacked if it is the same password.
As easily.
As easily, yes.
And when it comes to looking out for telltales in the several types of messaging that we get from scams or through scams, as through phishing emails or fake shopping sites, especially because online shopping tends to spike during this festive season. What are some of the telltales that one needs to look out for in regards to phishing emails or fake shopping sites?
So when it comes to emails, it is very important to look at the domain. So the domain is the word after the @ sign. So that normally gives you a clear indication, or it will raise a red flag. I mean, if a domain is xxygoogle.com, clearly it is not an official Google email. That is the first. Then spelling mistakes is also a very, very quick red flag, because if it is actually a legitimate and valid email, there are spell checks, and companies normally have specific standards that they work from. So that is also important to look at. And then links. When the link is too short, it should raise a red flag, because normally the full link will be in the respective email that will give you clear indication that it is a legitimate. But we advise, and I personally advise everyone to refrain from clicking on any link that is shared, whether it's via SMS or email. Again, take a step back. Try and rather make sure that it is legit. Take a minute to validate, because it will just save you. Imagine you lose all your money by being in a rush.
You often deal with scam and fraud related instances when it comes to the banking sector, particularly at FNB. What are some of the tricks that you've seen commonly used by scammers when it comes to cyber scams?
So in general, um, it is sometimes it is difficult to pick it up when it comes to emails, because that is normally what scammers use. Emails so they social engineer emails in order for it to look legit. What is very important when you receive an email, the first thing that you need to do, it takes time, but it will save you. Hover over the email address, because the email address might look legit, the full name, Carpio Minnaar@fnb.com.na. But when you hover over it, the real email address will display. And that's the easiest that you can see that it is not a legitimate email address. So that's the first thing that we also tell a lot of our customers to focus on. But it is important to again, stay as calm as possible, especially when you receive a phone call from an unknown number, because what the fraudsters do is they have general conversations with you to make you feel at ease. And sometimes they would even know something very personal about you. But the moment that you have a conversation and it goes on for too long, they jump into creating that urgency, that fear, and everything in order to ensure that you share certain information. The banks will never ask you for your PIN, OTP, or even your ID number. We will ask for validation of your ID number, but never your PIN or your password or even your card number. So if anybody asks that from you, it's definitely not FNB Namibia.
And what are some of the mistakes that we tend to make as customers when engaging with unknown numbers or even clicking on foreign links?
We Because of the fact that that scammers use the urgency of creating a deadline on a specific competition or a specific deal, we rush in order to do it. Sometimes it is important not to read certain emails at a time where you're not comfortable, and also when you are not in a busy space in your life. Because, I mean, the first thing that a lot of people also do is when you're at work, please refrain from looking at your personal emails. because that is the opportunity that fraudsters use. Because you're in a rush, you're rushing to a meeting, you're in a meeting, quickly checking your emails on your phone. Biggest mistake ever.
They're trying to get you in the buzz of it all.
Correct.
Thank you so much for sharing these very, very valuable insights when it comes to cyber safety in regards to banking and staying safe this festive season, Mr.
Thank you very much.
That was FNB's head of operations for retail banking, Carpio, Minnaar, talking to us about FNB's Festive Fraud Watch campaign focused on raising awareness around the most common types of frauds that tend to peak during this festive season. Do stay with us as Good Morning Namibia returns.